Well, it's been a lot of fun. So I hope things have been good on your end with him too.
They've improved. Like I feel this is the hard thing. He hasn't got the self motivation. So if I sit on him, he'll do it. But as soon as I leave him to it, yeah.
I wondered, yeah, that was one of the things we talked about one week was
Yeah.
motivation. And so the way I
Yeah.
teach it is the reward system. So yeah, I was kind of
Yeah.
wondering if he'd sat down and figured out his big tasks, his little tasks, and then what would motivate him. I wondered if he did that or not.
Not on his own, no. Yeah, I feel like maybe well, I'll give him a break about 2 weeks, but that I think we're gonna start with your thingies from the start and maybe with his brother as well. Like it won't hurt him. And go through all the steps and the PowerPoints and all the tasks and maybe do that for the next term just to try and consolidate with me. That's my plan anyway. We'll see how we go.
Definitely, yeah, because I wondered, yeah, if he'd done any of the, looked at any of the videos, because I mean, most of the time we
When
go
I
through
sat down
everything.
with him, he did it, but not on his own, no. Which I don't know, maybe I'm expecting too much. Year nine. I don't know, like, yeah. And he hasn't had to do it before on his own, really. Like with distance ed, it was pretty structured and I'd have to be on top of it. Whereas I have no idea what they're doing in their school. Like this is the most removed I've ever been. I don't know how normal parents, like mainstream parents, do it. Like they have no idea what they're doing.
Oh,
um, yeah,
yeah, I know for me that we were talking a lot about his planner, or as we call it planner, but I guess he
yes,
calls it, or you guys call it diary, but
diary.
he
Yeah,
was writing in it every day for the
yes,
most
he
part.
does. Yeah, yeah, he does do that well. That's a good one. So I can see what just a general, and I can ask him questions about if I can see it written down what they've done for the day. That was, yeah, good. He does that and he writes it down, but remembering dates or when something's due or I don't know.
Mhm.
Asking for help was the big one too, because I know that he was struggling with a problem in coding, a coding problem. And he would talk to us about it. And then after the fact, I think he worked out something. So I don't think he solved it completely.
Changed 3 lines of code and then it
Yeah,
worked.
but the point is, your teacher had like sessions after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come to the library. I'll help you with your stuff. I found that out after the assignment was due. There was not a mention. So like for weeks he's struggling on his own with this coding that just doesn't work. And he had the help there. I'm like I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can't say I knew that one either. Yeah, because I remember when you were struggling with that,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talked about what
Weeks.
can you do.
Yeah,
Hmm.
what can you do? There's an obvious one right there that he told no one about.
Wow, goodness. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we were trying to get to the point where we figured out a time of day that worked. Because we talked a lot about should he
yeah,
be writing in his diary every class, and we talked about how sometimes there's time at the end, sometimes there's time at the beginning, and so
yeah,
that's why we kind of decided, okay, lunch had to be the time to talk about it, and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
and then trying to get him to go, okay, even if there's no homework, even if there's no test or assessment, like
yeah,
write down what you talked about, whether it was a
yeah,
subject, whether it's a
yeah.
chapter, whatever it was.
Sorry, I've got chlorine on my hands and now I've
Oh,
rubbed my eyes and
oh
I'm
no.
crying.
Sorry. I
Sorry.
mean, if you need to go wash your hands or whatever, or we can be
Oh,
done.
I
Oh.
did, but it didn't seem to. I didn't wash them hard enough, obviously. I'll just cry it out. It's okay.
Oh man. I mean, I guess I wonder, I mean, is there anything that we didn't cover, Calder and I? I mean, is there anything that you're thinking he still needs to work on or?
It's just applying these. Like you've gone through it with him. I think it's really just applying it. I like that example of, well, you do know how to ask for help. You're bugging me and dad who know nothing about coding for weeks. But, realizing, and then I don't know if this is, I feel like this is also a generational thing, maybe, because I hear from other parents, they have the same problem. But if the teacher mentions something once, they feel like they haven't mentioned it at all. Whereas, you have to pay attention to everything they say. They're not going to cover it over and over and over and over again. So that are like using his skills, and secondly, that's still but I think it's a lot of his year level, a lot of teenagers, like saying it once is valid. Like things happen mentioned only once. Like it doesn't not exist because it was only mentioned once. You have to kind of pay attention and work out the significance of things, not based on how many times they're repeated, but evaluating and hearing what's said and then applying it, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you come across that? Is that just a Australian thing that the
I
kids are
mean,
complaining, but they only said it once? Yeah.
to me, that's kind of where the learning skill, the kind of learning style comes in, because we know
Yeah.
Calder now was visual, so trying to
Yeah.
help them
Yeah.
understand, it's like, okay, you see it written
Yeah.
down, you're going to remember it, but if
Yeah.
it's just said out loud, you're not going to
Yeah.
remember it. Or if it's
Yeah.
like something at school where they're going like workstations and moving around all the
Yeah.
time, again, unless
Yeah.
he's getting to read the whole time, it's not going to
Yeah.
work for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so maybe it's a learning style thing then.
Because that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to get him to write everything down. Is it's kind
Yeah.
of like, okay,
That
not
works
the
for him.
act of writing
Yeah.
it down doesn't necessarily work for you, but if you see it, you're gonna
Yeah.
remember it. And so we
Yeah.
talked about his calendar. I mean, we talked about how he should have a list of things he needs to do, and then knowing, okay, where are you gonna put this list? How are you gonna figure out, okay, is this like for a project or something, it's knowing it's due on this day, but knowing, hey, this project's going to take a week to complete. So realizing
Yeah.
the due date isn't enough on your calendar. You need to have all those different dates listed and know
Yeah.
which part of that project you're going to do on each day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess that's then another task I'm thinking, if we actually go and get a term calendar and over the holidays, I've got all the dates, or well, a few of the dates in the parent calendar. If we just start with those and go through and put them down on the term calendar, put it somewhere on his wall to begin with, and say, you have to come and maintain this. So every time you get a new piece of information about what's due, put it on there and look at it all the time. Maybe we'll
exactly,
try to
because
get a term calendar. Yeah, and fill it out as
definitely.
much as we can. Yeah.
Because that was one of the things we talked about was, okay, they tell, because we get syllabuses here, syllabi at the beginning of the
Yeah.
class, and
Yeah.
I'm like, usually for us, that means you have the big projects, you have the big,
Yeah.
the finals, all, and I'm like, so if you know that at the start of the class, put those
Yeah.
in your diary, like from the beginning on the calendar, so and it's
Yeah.
always kind of in the back of your mind, you can see, okay, this is this many weeks, this many days.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I think he tries to rely on remembering, because half the time he doesn't. I know he gets that syllabus, but he doesn't bring it home. He doesn't really answer when you say, "Where is it? Can I see it?" Oh no, the teacher just gave it in class. No, no, no.
Goodness. Yeah, it definitely sounds like we heard a lot of the same things. Because there were
Yeah,
times I'm like, do you have this? And he tells me what's in my backpack, and I was like, can you go
yeah.
get it? He's like, no, it's too far away. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, at the beginning, I said he's a master of excuses. He can come up with 101 creative ways to say no.
That's
Um,
so true. Oh, so I guess I wonder, is there something that you think that I could have done better? I mean, I'm just curious, kind of trying to still improve the course, make sure it's covering what parents are looking for. So is there anything
yeah. Well,
that
no,
you,
I think he's got all the foundations, all the skills he needs. It's just, well, trying to get him to apply it. Yeah, and he can probably tell me, like when we sit down and start reading through stuff, he'll say, "Oh yeah, we covered that," and explains it, so he understands it. And I can say how it would be helpful, but does he do it? Yeah.
Yeah, there was no doubt to me from the beginning that he was very smart. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about all sorts of science stuff, all sorts of space and history, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we
Yeah.
could talk for hours about nothing related to study skills.
Yeah. 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 And see, maybe like maybe my job is just to get him through high school, like because maybe they're not his strengths. He knows what his strengths are. He's not shy about what his strengths are, you know. So maybe it's just to keep him at a good level and maybe try and teach him these habits that will help rather than trying to push him into be something he's not, I guess. I don't know.
Well, like today we talked about he had a science assessment and he said there was one particular part that he didn't study, he wasn't ready
Yeah.
for, and I asked him, kind of why, and he tells me that if he would have studied that one part, he would have gotten an A instead of a B. And
Yeah.
we talked about how he missed a couple days because he was sick, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, I don't know what they covered," and I was like, "Why don't you know?" And he tells
Yeah.
me, "Well, the teacher never answered my email." So then we talked about what he can do differently next time. The fact
Yeah.
that he can go talk to the teacher, actually
Yeah.
talk. We talked
Yeah.
about, okay, what about your classmates? What about stuff
Yeah.
that's online? So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's just a matter of him
Yeah.
actually, like we said, doing these things and actually realizing there are options and kind of the
Yeah.
consequences for himself. I mean, we talked about today, it's like if you shoot for that A next time or you decide a B is okay again, because he didn't seem
Yeah.
upset by the B whatsoever. It's like, well,
No.
what happens if you
Yeah.
get a C next time? And he's just like, and so it's like, I think part of it is
Yeah.
we just have to let him see what happens based on your level of effort. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
where we are, it's just effort.
Yeah. 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 I don't know, like, but that particular trait of, I don't know, not being invested in the outcome, like
Hmm.
he's always been that way. So it's very hard to do rewards and punishments because he's not actually, that fussed about, like, he just seems to accept things as they are.
Yeah. So we just kind of have to figure out what he's interested in. And because I know
Yeah.
when we talked
Yeah.
about goals, he went straight to his computer game. And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we can
Yeah.
talk about goals in relation to that. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's totally fine as long as we're covering the material and you're understanding. But then
Yeah.
I asked him, okay, well, what's your short-term goal for this term? What's the short-term goal or even long-term goal for the year? And as far as I know, he still doesn't have those. And so it's kind of
Yeah.
like, I think
Yeah.
that's probably the first step is really helping him decide what does he want. And I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be nice if he had an idea for the school year, let alone what comes after college or after
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah. 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 Very much in the now. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's kind of where we are is just him figuring out a little bit more about what he's interested in. I mean,
Yeah.
since he tells me how much he loves to read and how much he likes to kind of do his own research and things
Yeah.
like that, to me
Yeah.
that seems like that's almost a reward for him in a way. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you do your homework, you get this much time on the computer game or this much time to read what you want to read.
Yeah. 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 We'll have to look at that. Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, but no, so we definitely think things though have changed though since I started working with him.
Yeah. Well, at least I feel more confident that he, at least theoretically, knows the steps, like that's covered now. It's not a gap in knowledge. Whereas I wasn't sure before. What does he actually know how to study? Does he actually know? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And then I guess I wonder, I mean, did you like having the printables? Did you like having the
Oh yeah.
activities? Okay.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. Yeah.
I had someone in the past tell me she wanted to write things down as she watched the video. So it's like, okay, I'll create those and start sending those
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're good. They're a good tool because, well, I guess I'm visual as well though, because writing things down or reading it helps me as well. So um, paper's good.
wonderful. Okay. And did you think 10 weeks was enough? I mean, I know we talked about kind of he has the know-how just now implementing it. So I mean, is that
Yeah.
something
Well,
you think?
yeah, like his needs will change. So if he does need more tutoring, I feel now that I know he's got the foundation and it's more applicational, maybe even kind of mentoring rather than,
Yeah.
so yeah, 10 weeks cover those bases, and then we'll move, like, see where you're up to and move on to whatever the next need is, kind of thing. Or, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, because that's kind of my thought is I wanted to give students kind of the chance to learn all of these things,
Yeah.
and then from there, which skill is
Yeah.
it that you need now? Which
Yeah.
skill is it that,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
because that's the reason I wanted to have forever access to. So that way, if it gets to the point where he forgets something we talked about, not only does he have the course, he has the materials, and then I've recorded all our sessions, so that way he can go back and watch them if he wants to.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, if it's okay with you, I wouldn't mind sharing some of the things we've talked about with my audience, if that's okay to let
Yeah.
other students know.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, and then I mean, if you're comfortable, willing to put a written testimonial together, I'd love to have that on my website, and I also have a Google profile, so if that's something you'd like to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, if there's anything that you think of that would have been a good change, a good improvement, or something that you're happy I did, I always like to know.
Well, I just like the connection you guys had, that you know, people love him or hate him, so it's hard sometimes. Yeah.
No,
But,
it was fun. I mean, I know you were worried a little bit at the beginning about the time, and I think we did a good job choosing a weekend. I think that went better than a weekday.
So thank you for being flexible with that.
You are welcome. Yeah, it's been fun. I know you probably just think she just says that, but I mean, I don't know. Every time after we're done, I don't know. I'm happier than before I was. So it was fun to work with. So.
Oh, wonderful.
But no, and I mean, if and when you think of other people, that I do have a referral program too. So if and when that's something that comes up and somebody says something, so
No worries. I'll keep it in mind.
wonderful. So yeah, I will go ahead and kind of call this a night unless there's anything else, and definitely stay in touch. Let me know how I can help in the future, because that was something I wondered about, is would 10 weeks be enough? Because I do kind of the one-on-one tutoring, so it could be based on this or whatever you guys might want it to be about.
No worries. Yeah, no.